we are here to bring local and state and federal governments together to solve a problem and do it in behalf of the people here in Wallkill and in Orange County who need to have this overpass that was built 3 years ago actually be usable for a lot of reasons. And we're going to start by talking with our town supervisor here from the town of Wallkill, Dan Depew.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And thank you to all the representatives from the state government, Annie Rabbit, who's here, and our state senator, John Bonasek, who represents the town of Wallkill now. We're very fortunate to have all of them here today. This project has been a complex project since its inception. The money pass-throughs that towns can apply for through the state and through the federal government to do projects like this are complicated. They're not easy. I think the intentions are great, but some of the hurdles that you have to overcome to get a project like this done are very difficult. And that's based on years of tradition of bureaucratic process, which were put in place for good purpose, but have never been changed to allow for projects like this to get done in a new economy, in a new environment of state banking requirements, and a new environment of continued regulation. This is the shortest tunnel that I've ever seen in my life that you can't see light through the end of it when you think of it getting done. And our goal here today, by bringing all of the entities involved, all three major entities involved together, is to bring some light through the end of this very small tunnel. Here's what the problem is. The way that the money has been given through the federal government to the state and is a pass-through to the town requires that the town would own the property from North Galleria Drive, which is right behind you, all the way through the underpass over to Dunning Road. That would require the town to acquire and purchase the properties from 4 commercial, large corporate property holding entities. A process that has been further held up by the fact that they have bonds and mortgages on their properties, which makes it very hard for us to stay within our budget. We have only a certain amount of money we can use to get this project done. So, and we want to do the best possible project we can to mitigate traffic concerns on 211 and get this tunnel open. So it's been a multivariate regression, which is a political science term for a lot of problems trying to make this happen in a quick period of time. It has been the town of Wallkill's goal to do 2 things: get the tunnel opened as soon as possible, but yet at the same time, do not leave the town of Wallkill residents unilaterally holding the bag for a large portion of undetermined funds required to make that happen. We want to work within our budget, and we want to do that as soon as possible. So we've come up with a creative idea. It's an idea that was formulated from experience I've had in my life, the Congresswoman, the Senator, and the Assembly have had in their lives, and we're trying to apply it to public road transportation for the first time ever in New York State, right here, to make this happen. I believe that when we apply this here and it's successful, it is going to make projects of this size and type able to happen much quicker throughout the state. The governor says he wants shovels in the ground as soon as possible to get the economy going, get projects like this done. This is a tool we believe that once applied will allow that to happen, and it's simple. Airports, general aviation airports, get improvements done to them all the time through federal and state pass-through dollars. They're capital improvements, and the way that it works with a private airport is you can take that money, all right, and put a lien on the property, all right, or a hold on the property for the life of the capital improvement. In many cases that is fencing, so they put a 20-year life on it, or it's pavement or concrete infrastructure or lighting, so they put a 20 or 30-year life on that project. And as long as that project is kept open to the public for the use of that, for that general purpose, open to the public with no restrictions, everything is fine. What we would like to do is encourage the state DOT and the federal DOT to have the confidence to move forward in an agreement which would allow the town the option to lease this property required to do this improvement for whatever the lifespan of the capital improvement would need to be, whether that's 20 or 30 years, that's up to them. They do their job well. They can determine what that would be. And we think what that will do is it will put the decision of what the property owners want to do with their property solely in the hand of the property owners and take it out of the hand of the bond service providers, which in many cases prevent them from doing these things because they're in the Cayman Islands or they're in, out of state, and they don't see how important these projects are to the local communities. If this were to work, and I believe firmly it will, we just got off the phone with one of the major property owners in this project, and they were exceptionally pleased with the fact that the town was trying to find a way to help them in their struggle. The 4 property owners have been clear. They want to see this project done. They do not want to make an undue burden on the town, the federal government, or the state by requiring them to use the lion's share of the money for anything less than improving the infrastructure. However, in this economy and these financial times, bond service agents and very complex financial institutions have made this process extremely cumbersome. So we believe that by urging our state and federal DOT workers and officials to come together with an agreement that would allow for a lease agreement with the town on this property, we're going to be able to get this tunnel open sooner and maintain our guarantees to the people of the regions that we will not be over budget and we will do it in a soon period of time. I'll turn it over to the Congresswoman for any questions and then on to our state representatives with any further information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Simply put, we have the people here of the town of Wallkill who have a tunnel in their midst that they can't use to get between shopping destinations. We have the people of Orange County who have a beautiful new medical center on Route 211. They need access to that medical center. They need to make sure that road is not congested. If we can use this underpass, as we should be able to, then we'll relieve congestion where we really need to do that. We have the taxpayers of Orange County, of New York State, and our federal taxpayers who've contributed a total of $9 million to this project. They deserve to have those funds usefully deployed in a way that makes sense. So I want to congratulate Supervisor Depew for coming to me as our local representative and allowing me the opportunity to talk with the Federal Department of Transportation, as we are actively doing, to make sure that we can work with the town of Wallkill, with New York State's Department of Transportation, to achieve a practical solution that actually will reduce the long-term cost of this project and make it work. This is just common sense. So what we're trying to do, all of us together, our Assemblywoman Annie Rabbitt, our Senator John Bonasek, and Supervisor Depew, and we are simply trying to make sure that we can put our common sense to work to benefit the people of Orange County and the town of Wallkill. So I want to thank all of you for being with us, and I am going to turn the podium over right now to our magnificent Assemblywoman Annie Rabbitt. Thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you. Today's a day that we stand here and we think so easily, why are we not building that road? Why are we not figuring out this problem overnight? Well, it takes the courage of great supervisors like Dan Depew to bring attention to projects and come up with creative ideas and let his Congresswoman know, his state legislators, how important these issues are. I'm proud to stand here with my partners in government. Let's build that road. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from our Senator John Bonasek. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. First of all, let me again thank our Congresswoman and our supervisor and my good partner, Annie Rabbitt, Dan Depew. Right now we have $5 million of wasteful federal spending. It's as if I took $5 million and buried it in a hole, because that's what this is. A waste of $5 million. And we're trying to do a full court press now, thanks to the leadership of the people around me, to get this project done. In practical terms, let me tell you why this is important. I have a wife that likes to shop. People today are very busy. They have a short allocation of time. So if they come to this mall, do you know to go to the other side right now, you have to go through 5 traffic lights? 5 to get to the other side. The waste of time. So many a times they'll go on to do something else. They'll never go to the other side to shop. That hurts our business people. In terms of traffic congestion, you have motorist safety. So all of these things have a negative effect because the ball is being dropped in bringing closure. Now our good supervisor has come up with a creative approach of which the Assemblywoman and I will follow through with our DOT to try to do our part. Our good Congresswoman is going to work with the federal highway people to try to get the necessary approvals to get this done. So I applaud everyone here, but the job is not done till we have closure and this is open and we take that $5 million back out of the hole and get this thing done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Bonasek has, as always, expressed the challenge we face in terms that all of us can understand, and I'm very confident, very grateful that he will do all he can at the state level with Assemblywoman Rabbit to make sure that we get this job done. If we're ready to answer any questions that you may have. Yes, Mr. Gross.
If the feds in the state say yes, how soon can we see this opened up? Go through the process.
It's hard to determine exactly. I don't want to pinpoint a date of how quickly it can be done, but there's no question that in the process we're going through right now, it only leaves us some really aggressive opportunities there, and that would slow the project down for another year, 12 months, and maybe beyond that. I think these lease agreements, just based on a conversation I had with the property owner right now, would cut that time frame in half. And that's what we need to do, because the state is not in a financial situation to allow large sums of money to roll over and sit there. Eventually they'll call the project dead and the project will go, and it'll be a tremendous waste of money. So I think it'll probably cut the time frame in half, Hank. Great question. That's the motivation for why we're trying to do this.
So maybe by the holiday shopping season, maybe?
I would be overwhelmingly pleased if by the holiday shopping season we know that we've went to bid on the project, we have the lease agreements in place, and that we can put shovel in the ground as soon as the season allows us to. At this point right now, the process, just the federal process and the state process of doing it the way that it's always been done, is going to make it so that's not even possible. So we're hoping that at least by the end of 2012, the beginning of fiscal 2013, which is October 1st, we will have everything committed and the project will be well underway to completion.
And have all four of the property owners who said that they would who might read the lease?
We have, the way that it works right now, you've got roughly 78%, 80% of the property, total property to do the project in control of one of the property owners. So their opinion is crucial to this working. They've said that a lease agreement would be so much easier for their situation. It would allow them the freedom to they make lease agreements every day. Most of these buildings that you see here are not owned by the property owners. They're a lease. They've leased the property. The company has come in, built the building, and the property is still owned by the property owners. So they're used to making lease agreements. They do it all the time. And they've written into many of their contracts that this is an easier way of operating. So I think that if it works for the one who owns 80% of the property, it'll most likely work for the smaller contributors to the project. But all of them have been committed to getting it done and working with us. And they now know the true realities of our financial situation.
What is the company that owns 80%?
It is Dunning Farms. Dunning Farms owns 80%, roughly. Pyramid owns maybe another 10%, and then the balance of that other 10% is split between the folks who own Best Buy. That just changed hands, so it's hard to keep up with all of them as they change hands, and then National. And they've been great. They've really been great. They recognize the value in having this done. They recognize that working with us will help expedite it, but their hands have been bound by the process. All right.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks again to our senator. Oh, yes.
Well, why is it that leasing the property would be easier for them to sell it?
I think it has to do with the agreements that they've entered into with, you know, their financial institutions. I don't want to get into great detail about, you know, all of that information, but there are certain aspects of their agreements that prohibit them from being able to work with the community on this without either the town purchasing it for large sums of money, or the town or state government having to go through an eminent domain or condemnation process, and that process, you know, would assure that they'd be paid and compensated in the value that their bond service providers want, you know, for this property. And that's a long process. It's a process it's costly, and there's blindfolders on it as to what the financial liability would be for the town, and I just can't do that to the people of the town of Wallkill. I can't.
We could provide a practical solution.
That's right.
For much less cost.
That's
that
right.
would be perfectly acceptable to the property owners.
Right, and they're willing, they're open. They said, wow, sounds like you're thinking from a business perspective, not from a government perspective. And I said, we're trying to change the game here, folks. So they were happy.